This week I have an important warning for law enforcement officers who are leaving the police force to become private investigators. Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. I'm going to give you the warning, and then I'm going to tell you the behind the scenes reason that I have to even give the warning at all. So the key element for you here is, as anyone trying to get their private investigator license knows, you need experience. Sometimes it's 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 hours of experience in some places. Now, as you're a law enforcement officer, you could be a homicide detective with 20 years of experience. Here's the trick. You think, oh, I've got that 6,000 hours of experience. I've got that, 4, 5, 6 times over, 10 times over, whatever it might be. The tricky thing is some states require the experience to be quote unquote recent experience, and that is sometimes even spelled out in statute. So for example, you may have to have 4,000 hours worth of experience within the last 3 years or the last 2 years. Now this is a little bit tricky because what happens is some law enforcement officers will retire and 6 months into it say, this is driving me crazy, I got to do something. Or their spouses will tell them, you're driving me crazy, you have to do something. And they'll think, well, I get my PI license, open a detective agency, which is way more difficult than what it sounds just from a business point of view if you've never run a business. But here's the thing. They figure, well, I was a cop for 25 years, I was a detective for 10 years, this won't be a problem. They go to get their license and come to find out they don't have that 4,000 hours experience in the last 2 years because they took 6 months off. Wow, that's a real blow. So if you're in law enforcement and thinking at any time in the future about getting a PI license, really keep that in mind. And if your state has that recency requirement, don't let it surprise you. Now, the behind the scenes reason why this type of thing is there, it is purely political. I get the idea, there's the official truth and the real truth. The official truth is the politicians say we have to protect the public. They say we can't have somebody who's using investigative techniques that are 20 years old or 10 years old. Nowadays, as fast as technology is moving, maybe they don't even want people who are using these old, out-of-date 5-year-old technologies or laws as things change so rapidly. We need to protect the public, the state legislature argues, so we're going to require a recent experience. That's the official reason. The real reason is because the big wigs in the private investigator game, the large detective agencies, have gotten together, they've lobbied state legislatures to make this recency requirement in order to keep competition out. They don't want these retired law enforcement officers or even people coming out of the private sector. You may have been a fraud investigator with a bank for 20 years. Again, you take 6 months or a year off, and then you find out you don't meet the recency requirement. And the big detective agencies want to keep the competition down. So they lobby the legislatures to put in this recency requirement, and that stops cold a lot of people who would otherwise be the competition of the large agency. Don't miss this warning. If you have anything that you want to add, like going from law enforcement or even private sector working for a big company to opening your own detective agency, drop it in the comments. We can all learn from each other. There's no shame for me in admitting there's something I don't know, and you might find some interesting information there as well, or if you have something to share. This is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.